Hi again. So I am going to talk a bit about the genre of persuasion, since persuasion is one of the options that you can use to write essay too. So let me share my screen, pull up that particular PowerPoint, and talk a bit through what it means to write a persuasive piece. So if you have taken an English class in high school, you have likely been asked to write a persuasive piece. Some of you might have been involved in debate or forensics and had to do quite a bit on persuasion. So as I think about persuasion, I think about all the ways in which I am being persuaded every day. And without even realizing it, we are being marketed and advertised to, and people are trying to persuade us on a daily basis, from the decisions we make in the grocery store to um, getting junk mail about services that we may or may not need. It is all around us. And I think one of the things that's great about writing persuasively is that you can kind of train yourself to be a more critical consumer. You can start to realize the fluff from the logic, the evidence from the glamour or the glitz. And so persuasion is one of the harder types of writing to do because many of us have some pretty established beliefs and ideas and opinions, and it's hard to change people's beliefs, ideas, and opinions. Uh, Persuasion does imply that an issue has two different sides to it. So it has a pro and a con, a for and an against, issues, big issues like the death penalty, gun control, abortion, marijuana usage, assisted suicide. Those are big topics that have some pretty strong opinions on both sides. But there are more nuanced and maybe less controversial topics that also have pros and cons and fors and against. So it doesn't have to be a big bad topic that is in the news all the time. It could be something as simple as every student should take a gap year between high school and college, or everyone should travel, and here's why. So it doesn't have to be a major controversial topic, but it does need to be something that you can have a for and against side to, and that you could find some research to support. So, what is an argument? It's not just our own personal opinion that we push at our nephew or our uncle at the dinner table during the holidays. It is hopefully a reasoned opinion that we can explain and support with evidence. And by evidence, we're talking about a variety of different things. We're talking about facts, we're talking about statistics, we're talking about examples or anecdotes, and we're talking about the opinions of experts. So, in order to argue, it can't just be based on your own personal solitary experience, even though we usually pick topics that we have some personal experience with, but it needs to be something that you can use facts and statistics and the opinions of authorities to help back up. Writing an argument will fail if you rant rather than reason. And you will hear plenty of rants in your lives, whether that is on social media or at the dinner table or in the newspaper opinion section. But ranting is different than arguing persuasively. So you want to be able to present your case in a considered and polite fashion, acknowledging that there will be people who disagree with your point of view, but trying to get them to consider your point of view anyway. Sometimes the best that you can hope for in a persuasion is just to have people ponder it and then let it sit with them for a while. I know I have had opinions that have changed over the years. When I was 20, I had opinions that have evolved based on my own experiences and people I've met and situations I've been put into. And so knowing that sometimes the best you can hope for is you're planting a little bit of seed. So careful of weak topics. And by weak, we mean things like everybody should exercise, everybody should wear a seatbelt, everybody should brush their teeth twice a day. These are things, my hair, sorry. These are things that most people know to be true, that have been supported through statistics and facts and the opinions of authorities throughout many, many years, if not decades or centuries. And so they're harder to argue because most people are going to agree with you. If you're looking at like the seatbelt one, a more current and controversial one would be in every state in America, everyone should wear a helmet when they ride a motorcycle, because right now in the US, the helmet laws differ, and they differ for the age of the person. Some states require a helmet for everyone, some require them only for children, some don't require them at all. So there are ways that you could flex these particular topics I have on the screen. But note that, everybody should do a thing that everybody else has already agreed upon is probably not a good topic to start with. So your essay for a persuasion is going to look a little bit different in that, intro thesis will be similar format as you've already done. You probably want to at least acknowledge the opposition somewhere in the beginning of your essay, whether that's in your intro or your first paragraph. And then you want to think of reasons why we should support your argument. So if I were to argue that, and this is a big one that's probably hard to accomplish in 3 to 5 pages, but that healthcare should be free in the US, I would need to think of several reasoned and well-evidenced claims as to why that should be the case. In this particular type of essay, you can use your language a little bit more creatively, in that you can have a little bit stronger language. In essay number 1, it was a little bit more informative and less persuasive. And when you're talking about things that are of interest to you, that you want to try to get others to see your side of, you can be a bit more passionate in the way that you deliver that message. It does not mean, again, that you're going to rant, or that you're going to call the opposition stupid, or that you're going to insinuate that if you don't do it this way, you're wrong. But you can really infuse your language with, we must do this, we need to do this, we have to have people understand why this is important. So you can be a bit more passionate. And then your conclusion is usually some kind of call to action. Call your senators, participate in your voting systems, pick up the trash along the side of the road. It's asking people to do or believe something differently. So here are some examples of persuasive thesis statements. The hourly minimum wage should be higher to allow people to live more comfortably. The minimum wage has been a hot topic the last couple of years because our economy has responded due to the pandemic. There's still a shortage of workers for many different companies. My mother-in-law is in a nursing home, and we recently received a letter that her monthly costs were going to go up by 6.5% because they are having a really hard time finding people to work. And so if we have an increase in the minimum wage, does that solve some of our problems around having full staffing for really critical places like hospitals and nursing homes? So think about things that have touched your life personally. Maybe that you have seen, whether it's been in your friend group or your parents or your grandparents, things that you see that should be changed. I know that a couple of years ago, the roundabouts in La Crosse were a really big talking point, and there were people who really liked them and really didn't. I really liked them. So thinking about even just local hometown issues that you'd like to see change might be a good starting point. You want to at least acknowledge that there is an opposing viewpoint on the topic that you're writing about, and beware of, again, being critical or overly dismissive of the opposition. There are 2 sides to every story, and often there are valid reasons for both of those sides. So respectfully addressing that, and knowing that maybe some of your readers will be on the opposite side as you, and you're trying to build that bridge. When you do nod to that opposition, you can do things like using these transition words, although, yet, of course. So here's an example. Although tougher gun control laws are a powerful first step in decreasing violence in our streets, such legislation alone cannot end these problems, since guns are not the only problem we face. So you are saying that, yes, this is a good first step, but it doesn't go far enough. So it's as simple as saying a sentence or 2 like that. So the minimum wage should be raised. Think about the reasons why. Reality TV does more harm than good, because zoos are unethical and should be closed. Felons should have voting rights. Voting should be mandatory. All of these are arguable, persuasive thesis starters, but your job would be to finish them and explain the why or the how, so that your audience can follow along with you. Be aware that we all have bias. It's literally impossible to be a human being in the world without having some degree of bias based on the family you're raised in, the town that you come from, the TV and the media you've consumed all of your life, your friend groups. We are emotional creatures and we are bound to have biases. News outlets strive to be objective, meaning that they strive to be as factual as possible, some more than others, but every institution that is made of people will have some form of bias in it. So we can't be completely neutral. We can strive to be as objective and neutral as possible. But in persuasion, you can let your audience know, like, I have strong feelings about this. I have had experience with this, and because of my experience, it has affected the way I see this issue. However, I'm not just going to hit you with my own bias or my own experience. I'm also going to bring in, again, statistics, facts, evidence of the opinions of authorities to help you see this issue from this point of view. If you want to use a bit of I, me, my, the first person point of view, especially in your introduction and conclusion for this essay, that's perfectly fine. Remember that when we use I, me, my, we are drawing the reader in a bit more. We are making it more personal. And it's sometimes we want to do the I think smoking is bad, or I think that littering is bad. It's usually better, since you're the one writing it, to get rid of those I thinks, I believes, and just say smoking is bad, littering is bad, and then give the reasons why. So being aware of overusing the personal pronouns. Again, know the difference between a fact and an opinion. Facts have been verified by multiple people over multiple instances to be true, and they are often associated with science and being more objective. Opinions are the feelings that we accumulate after being exposed to certain circumstances. They can be supported, but they can't be proven, and opinions will differ, but facts shouldn't. Think about who you are and think about the identities that you have. So I've put my list of identities here. I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, a sister, a teacher, a US citizen. I'm a teacher. And so what are some areas that I could explore? AI and ChatGPT have been on everybody's radar. I could certainly explore a pro or a con, a for or against about ChatGPT. Thinking about my hobbies, I love to read. One of the topics that comes up when I teach literature is, what is classic literature? Who gets to decide what that is and what we read in college classes? Think about the environment, your social and political world. I like state parks. Are they in danger? Who funds them? Do we have enough? Do we have too many? And then real problems in your life. College costs are rising, and the amount of aid that we get from the state is often declining, and that means a burden for students financially. There are many other countries that offer free education, or at least a reduced cost education for their citizens. So if I were interested in pursuing that topic, I'd be able to maybe do some research on what other countries do, how they do it, how they fund it, what the benefits are, etc. So if you struggle to think of topics, start by thinking about who you are and what you enjoy. So that's a bit about persuasion. I will also put some links to some pro-con websites that might be helpful for you to start investigating topics. All right, that's enough for now. That's persuasion for you. Take care.